My name is Ming, and I'm a PhD student and FNRS research fellow in cultural anthropology at the Université Libre de Bruxelles. I joined GENESYs in 2017 with a project that focuses on youthful tactics of public space appropriation in late socialist urban Vietnam, more specifically in Ho Chi Minh City. Whereas my initial interest gravitated around public and semi-public places, including squares, parks, shopping malls, and coffee shops, which I address as public forums for the negotiation of individual expressions and state-led collective identities. Later in my research, my focus shifted from how people inhabit and occupy public spaces to how they move in and through them. Thus, I decided to concentrate my analysis on the topic of urban mobility and more specifically motor mobility, that is mobility through motorbikes. This interest was inspired by the very circumstances of my fieldwork, during which a motorbike accompanied me in all my daily activities, from exploring the city to running errands, from hanging out with friends to meeting with informants. I soon realized that two wheels in Vietnam are much more than simply a device for personal mobility. They are also an interface which mediate a variety of sensuous activities between bodies and the urban environment, as well as mobile platform through which city dwellers can engage a variety of economic and social activities. The reason why I decided to focus on Vietnam relies on my personal bond with the country. Ever since I was a child, being my dad Vietnamese, I have had the chance of visiting Vietnam several times. And more or less consciously, I incorporated and witnessed the massive transformations Vietnam has been going through ever since the 1990s. Those childhood memories still provide very interesting insights for my current research. However, the reason why I chose Ho Chi Minh City as the site for my fieldwork is less personal and more practical. In 1986, Vietnam initiated the Đôi Mới, a set of macroeconomic reforms with the aim of transitioning from centralized economy to market-based economy. Ho Chi Minh City, formerly known and still widely referred to as Saigon, became the country's financial and commercial pole. Nowadays, Ho Chi Minh City attracts hundreds of thousands of young people from all over the country, attracted by its job opportunities, its cosmopolitan lifestyle, as well as its international universities. As many of my research participants told me while conducting ethnographic fieldwork in Ho Chi Minh City is all about money. And although as social scientists we need to pay attention to generalize these commonplaces, this informal motto is somehow well embodied in the frenzied atmosphere of Ho Chi Minh City streets, where informal and formal economies perfectly mix, and where everybody seems to be engaging in some sort of economic activities or trading. My research can be described as an ethnographic study of the social transformations brought about by Vietnam's economic transition through the lens of mobility. But what is mobility? Mobility, in the words of geographer Tim Creswell, is more than about getting from A to B. All types of movements, be it flying, walking, driving, or riding a motorbike, can be represented as lines on a map, which connects two or more points. Mobility studies seek to unpack that line, to understand what makes that line significant and socially important. So, for example, in Vietnam, mobility is often conflated with people's identities and aspirations. The state also contributes to create narratives of and around mobility, inspired by neoliberal visions of modernity, in which the cars are usually considered the most valuable item. So those whose personal mobility lies on more powerful means of transportation, for example the cars, usually are associated with higher social status and class. However, those whose mobility relies on less powerful means of transportation, for example motorbikes or bicycles, still come up with tactics to protect their right to the city. Thus, in my research, I aim to understand and to analyze how different aspects of mobility, including bodies, streets, infrastructures, policies, and processes of urbanization, intermingle with people's agency on how to be socially and physically mobile in Ho Chi Minh City.